Welcome inside the huddle in Mom's locker room of legacy, where champions bring out their playbooks to inspire, educate, and empower. Here, we equip mothers, athletes, and families with tools that go beyond the game, helping to build legacies that last a lifetime. Before we begin, please note, this program is for educational and inspirational purposes only. By watching, you acknowledge that you are participating at your own risk. The views expressed belong to our facilitators and guests and do not replace professional, legal, medical, or financial advice. M.O.M.S, its executive director, Dr. Erica Wilson, affiliates, and speakers are released from any liability connected to the content shared. Copyright IH2H. It Had To Happen and M.O.M.S, Mothers of Motivated Sons. All rights reserved. No portion of this broadcast may be copied, recorded, distributed, or reproduced without written permission. Stay connected with us. Follow Mothers of Motivated Sons on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and LinkedIn. Follow our community handle, Enful IH22. Subscribe to our YouTube channel for updates, workshops, and inspiration. Visit us at https://www.mothersofmotivatedsons.org. Contact us at info@mothersofmotivatedsons.org. Together, we're building legacy beyond the game. Now, let's get ready, because the huddle starts here, and champions are made in this locker room of legacy. Let's welcome our Executive Director, Dr. Erica Wilson, and champions.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. Hey, happy Monday to you, and you. Welcome inside the huddle, Mom's locker room of legacy. And tonight our topic is parent guilt versus pressure transfer. I think you guys may want to get your pen and papers ready. If not, get your phones ready so you could go ahead and take notes. But while we'll wait for you to do that, we're going to go ahead and bring in the heavyweight champion, Mrs. First of all. Welcome.
Hello, welcome.
All right. And then we have Mr. First of all, weighing in all the way from Miami Gardens. Welcome.
Let's go.
Oh, that's what I was waiting for. That's exactly what I was waiting for. See, y'all not ready. But go ahead. I hope you guys got your pen and your papers ready, or even your phone, so you could go ahead and take notes, because the jewels that's about to be dropped out of this playbook on tonight, parent guilt versus pressure transfer. So, kind and most gracious Father, oh God, we come to you, oh God, as humbly as we know how, Father. God, giving you the glory, honor, and the praise on tonight, Father. Lord God, we just thank you, Father, for allowing us to be in the numbers one more time, oh God, yet again, God, and giving us a chance to get things right, Father. Lord God, we ask, God, that as we decrease, God, you increase, God, and you have thy own way on tonight, oh God. Father God, I pray, God, that as pour out, Father, that you pour back into her, oh God. Replenish her as she pour out to your people on tonight, oh God. But God, use her mightily on tonight, oh God. And anybody that's under the sound of our voice, oh God, whatever, oh God, they're standing in need of, oh God, you know all about it, oh God. And we know that one may need you for one thing and another may need you for another. But Lord God, we all need you every second, every minute, every hour. So God, have your way on tonight's broadcast. In your son Jesus' name, God, we give you the glory, honor, and the praise. Amen, amen, and amen.
Amen. Thank you, Dr. Erica, for that prayer. Lord knows. Woo, child. Needed that today.
Let me do it.
All right. Thank you so much for having me again to drop some mental health nuggets to our parents and our youth and everyone else who is out here supporting Mom's locker room of legacy. You know, let me just keep it real with you for a second, right? Have you ever been the parent on the sideline, losing your mind, screaming like the coach could actually hear you, right? Like the ref, that's a foul, right? Or even worse, you yelling at your kid like you forgot that it was a whole crowd watching. I know that's me. Like, I'm that parent on the sideline, like, hey, Tyler, what you doing? Right? Or maybe you could have done that silent car ride home, after a bad game, the one with the windows down and the music down and everybody quiet, like it's some type of funeral or something, and everybody's overthinking, right? And as a parent, you're sitting there saying to yourself, Lord, why do I feel like I'm the one that just lost this game myself, right? We laugh about it, we joke about it, but let's be honest. That's guilt and pressure that's creeping in. And as parents, especially in our community, we want so badly for our kids to win, not just on the court or in the field, but in life. Yeah. We carry our own struggles, our own missed opportunities, and sometimes without that meaning, we handle all of that over to our kids. You don't even do it on purpose. You know what I mean? And the truth is that our babies, they feel it. They carry it, and they start to believe if I don't play well, I'm letting my mom down or I'm letting my dad down. So, but here's the thing. That pressure, it doesn't just stay in the game. It gets in their heads. It gets in their hearts. It shows up in their sleep, in their confidence, even how much joy they feel about playing that game or that sport that they once loved. So today what we're going to do is we're going to laugh. We're going to be honest a lot, but we're going to check ourselves. Because our kids don't just need us as their biggest fans. They need us to be their safest place. And if we can learn how to recognize when guilt and pressure are slipping in, we'll be able to help them better. Okay? So we'll change the way our kids experience sports and the way they experience us, because that's important. Okay? So that's what we're going to be talking about today. Parent guilt and pressure transfer. We don't really realize how much we affect our kids. And sometimes it's so subtle. You know what I mean? We don't necessarily have to open our mouths and say something. We just know how to apply pressure. And it affects our kids. It really affects our kids. So let's start off with parent guilt in sports. And parent guilt equals not enough, right? We start to think, oh, I don't have enough time, or I don't have enough money, or I'm not present enough. And because we start to have that feeling of not enough, it creates this parent guilt. So what's one of the guilts that you carry as a sports parent? Is it finances? Is it missing a tournament? Is it not giving enough opportunity? I want you to think about that. Take a second and let that sit with you. Having guilt itself isn't bad. It's a sign that you care. But when it's unchecked, it turns into pressure. So if you don't check the guilt that you feel, it starts to be this unspoken pressure. Because we don't say these things to ourselves. We don't go in our room and go, man, I ain't got enough to pay for this. It comes out loud. The kid brings you a paper that says that they gotta, come up with $200 for a uniform, or they need these cleats that's $150. And the first, I don't have that money. Where am I supposed to get that from? I gotta go work an extra shift. It comes out loud. And it's not on purpose. It's just our own frustration. And then there's the pressure. Okay? So children, they absorb stress just like sponges. And that transfers into how they show up in their sports spaces. Okay? So, if when we spent too much money for you to be sitting on the bench, that kid, they start to hear, I'm not enough unless I perform. They're not thinking anything else. They thinking about how I'm gonna get on this, how I'm gonna get out here on this field, how I'm gonna get out here in the coach, what I gotta do to get out here, because my mama said this was too much. It's a burden on my mom, and I don't want to be a burden on my mother. So we have to be very careful how we vocalize things to our children, because that leads to perfectionism. It leads to anxiety. It leads to identity issues. And again, it wasn't on purpose. It wasn't on purpose at all. So how do we recognize those signs? What are the red flags? Right? How do we know that it is affecting the athlete? That pressure, how do we know it's getting to them? Okay, so I'm going to give you some of those signs on the mental health end, and then I'm going to give you some of those signs in the sports performance end. Okay, so some red flags that it is affecting your child's mental health: stomach aches. Okay, sleeplessness, emotional shutting down. Right? And these are things that we would just say, oh, you just don't feel good. You okay, well, go lay down, you know, but it is affecting that pressure, that stress is getting to them, and it creates things like ulcers. Because see, now remember, the things that we struggle with in our mental health can affect our physical health, right? And so, as we know, and if you don't know, if a doctor tells you about ulcers, they'll tell you that a lot of that comes from stress. Okay, breaking out on your face, right? Certain type of acne and things like that. It could come from stress and trauma, right? So our bodies keep the score. There's a book that I always recommend to my clients called "The Body Keeps the Score," because it talks about how your mental health is connected to your body and your physical health. Okay, so those are some of the red flags, all right, in the regards to the mental health. Now let's transfer over to the sports performance. You get kids or youth that are choking under pressure. They avoid practice. I'm slowing down. I see you, Erica. So they choke under pressure. They avoid practice. They have a loss of love or joy for the game. Okay. They have fear of trying new stuff when it comes to the sport, because they're scared that they're not going to perform the way that they are expected to perform. Okay. They have a drop in their motivation. There's this burnout. They quit. Who would have thought that something as simple as me dealing with what I can't do as a parent would cause my child to make some executive decisions? Those are executive decisions. I don't want to do this no more. Right? So now at this point, what they're doing is they're showing up in a space and they're just kind of on purpose messing up. Okay. And so these are the effects that we notice, is going on with these teenagers or these youth when they're experiencing the pressures that are being transferred over by the parent. Okay. So how do we break that cycle? we definitely have to self-regulate. Okay. You want to do things that will help you to focus your mind so that you're not caught up on the pressure. Breathing techniques, praying, journaling, talking to somebody. I'll go back over it again. Talking to somebody who, like kind of like, I don't want to call it debriefing, because debriefing is typically what you do after the game, right? But having a conversation with someone before to kind of dump those thoughts that's in your mind that you're worried about, right? So again, breathing, prayer, journaling, okay? As a parent, we want to reframe our thoughts. And so what reframing your thought is you are changing this negative to a positive thought. Okay? So when someone tells you to use this technique of reframing, which is it's actually very good technique to use in all forms when you're dealing with anxiety or stress, you practice reframing self-talk. You practice reframing self-talk. So instead of saying, I'm failing as a parent, I'm failing my kid, you say I'm present for my kid. Okay, you reframe it. And what that does is it helps to shift your mindset to a more positive perspective, which then lowers the anxiety or the feeling of the stress that you're feeling. Okay, because what we have learned is that what we think, it dictates how we act and how we behave. So if I can change the way I think, then I'll change the way I act, or I'll change the way that I behave. Okay. So that is definitely one of the things. As a kid, you want them to own their stress out loud. This is not my worry. That's for you to carry. I'm too young to be concerned about what you're concerned about. That's your job. Right? And allowing them to let that go, because they can't take on that responsibility. And this is major when we're talking about a single parent home, because statistics show that in a single parent home where the mother is the single parent, the male child is more likely to take on the responsibility of the second parent, or to take on the pressure of the second parent. So in this space, what they're doing is, now when mom is saying certain comments, not on purpose, again, but saying certain comments about the stressors of life, that in turn is going to hinder that kid from doing whatever sport that they got to do. They pick up that responsibility or that concern. Like, how can I take this off of my mama, even though it's not their responsibility? So as a parent, the goal is to try to remind them that this is not something that you need to be worried about. Okay. Having those healthy talks, those post-game talks with your child, right? So, instead of having critique, it goes from critique to curiosity to affirmations. So instead of critique, it's critique, curiosity, affirmation, right? Because we don't want to critique, because when we critique our children, that creates the pressure, because we don't know how to give constructive criticism at all. I don't know if maybe they need to teach that in school, because we missed that lesson. We don't know how to give constructive criticism. Instead, we just know how to say what we didn't like, what wasn't good, right? So instead, we have to transfer from that to curiosity and affirmation. So instead of, why'd you miss that basketball shot, or why'd you miss that catch, is, What did you enjoy about the game? What did you notice about you? You know, and then something that is affirming, like, man, I love the way you ran that ball, or I love watching how you play the game, or I could see how encouraged you are. And my husband has a knack for that. I'm not gonna give example of my kids because they listening, but but I watch him with other individuals, and you know, he knows how to make anything seem like something special. You know what I mean? Like, boy, when you sure pick them cleats up and put them over there real nice. Like it make you feel like you just accomplished something, even when it's nothing at all. You know what I mean? And so as parents, we have to be able to find that in ourselves instead of having this disappointment that not only comes out of our mouths, but that sits on our face. You know, it's almost like we be having money on the game or something because we I know I'm telling on somebody because I know that those parents like those little league games, and I know that it is not really for the kids to a certain extent. And those adults really have money on the game, even like the high schools. But when I go and I sit and I watch my son play basketball, and it's just like the amount of intensity that these parents have, and these kids are just trying to play. You know what I mean? And of course they're competitive, but they're trying to enjoy the game. And it's difficult to enjoy the game when you know that there's so much riding on you being successful, you know, and we don't pay attention to the effects, even in the game, that it has on our children. Because it could be serious. So we're talking about little stuff like, you know, having a stomach ache here, or trying not to play the game at all. But imagine that person who takes that pressure on the field with them, or takes that pressure on the court with them, or whatever sport they're in. They take that pressure out there with them, and they lose focus. Certain games, all games, you can't afford to lose focus. Because if you lose focus, that could be an injury. If I'm not paying attention, somebody can hit me the wrong way and I can hurt myself. And as a parent, no, they're not watching you while they're playing, but they can hear you. And your voice is particular. Like they know, it's like how the Lord say, you know, my sheep know my voice. Your children know your voice. So when you like, what are you doing? They know that wasn't nobody random. What is you doing? They know that was their mom or their dad. What are you doing? And in that moment, it can create a response of freeze. It could create this response that causes them to forget what they're doing in that moment. You know what I mean? So we have to be very cognizant of that, right? We want to make sure that we can teach our kids how to detach their identity from stats and wins. You are not, you know, just because you ran and made 5 touchdowns, that's not who you are. You know, that's what you were able to do, but you may not be able to do that tomorrow. And that doesn't change who you are, you know, and we want to make sure that we're celebrating the effort and the growth and the teamwork. You know, those skills that they say you're supposed to learn when you play in a sport. We want to make sure that we emphasize that. And in our culture, that's difficult, or I'm not gonna say it's difficult. It's not done. I was talking to someone about my child's journey in sports, and his was different than everyone else's because he didn't do Optimus. He did karate, which was, you know, a different type of activity than what we do. So that environment was different. And then I let him do I-9. sports, because I was like, you could do that. And that person is laughing. He's on this thing right now. That's why I was trying not to put him out there, but since he's laughing, I'm gonna talk about him. So my husband, Mr. First of all.
And what's I-9?
So I-9 Sports. So that's I-9 Sports is a league for parents who are basically they're active, like they're meaning like they work. So you do practice on a Saturday and the game is the same day. Like there's not this whole So it's supposed to be a little bit more helpful for the parent, but it's also there's not real coaches. Like the coaches are like volunteered. So every game there is a different coach because it's like the parent. So like a parent can volunteer and then another parent will volunteer, and right. And it's just kind of like, everyone's a winner. We're gonna just like, you're gonna learn the how the game goes, but we're not pushing the win thing. Like the winning thing is not important. Just, good job. You made a shot, good job. You running in circles, at least you know how to run. Like it was like that, right? Now when my son did that, he was like 4, 5 years old. I refused to put him in. They wasn't gonna do my baby. not like that. They wasn't gonna do it. They weren't gonna do it. But he has very strong feelings about I-9 Sport.
Why you like that, Mr. First of all?
Man, listen. So with that I-9 Sport, like I had to learn to look at it from a different perspective, because I'm, only thing I know is to compete. And I'm very competitive. And when I heard about I-9, I kind of, and I'm guilty of it, I kind of shunned upon it, right? But the positive thing out of it is the parent-child engagement, more or less you're learning as much as you can, because like you say, it's volunteers. Some of them don't even know what's going on, and maybe they may get some information from others to say, hey, this is this. So the parents are learning the game as well as their kids. So from that perspective, I love, that, I'm not with all that everybody wins. But that's on the competitive side. So I had to kind of dumb down and look at it from a different perspective. So I still feel the way I feel, but I see a different side of it. Some of the lesser talented kids participate in that, and more or less the parents just want to see them having fun. So
yeah,
you know,
yeah. And for me, it was a balance because Tyler's actually very talented. I just didn't want him. I personally had my own feelings about what I grew up watching. You talk about somebody who Carol City, brother played in the Optimist, cousins playing in Optimist. So I'm looking at all of this. I'm noticing. I'm teaching in the school. I'm teaching at Carol City, so I'm seeing how parents and coaches and how that works and how there's this favoritism in the sport. So I was protecting my child while still allowing him to have access to sports. But he did have a balance because of karate, which is extremely competitive. Because he wasn't just someone doing a little routine. He was actually fighting. So he was in competition. So he got the balance. But I brought that up because I feel like there was this healthy transition in his mindset that I'm doing what I'm doing, and if I do great, cool. But if I don't do great, I'm cool too, because I know I'm good. I know that I know how to do what I'm doing, right? Or I tried. You know what I mean? And he was able to acknowledge the growth that he was making. And a lot of the times when we're talking about the pressure, it's hard for our kids to connect growth because to them, they're not growing unless they're making a stat. Or they're not growing unless they have a win. So the fact that I was able to run from the 10-yard to the 15-yard and I couldn't do that last week, that don't matter to the coaches because the coach wants you to run to the touchdown.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? So for the kid, well, if I didn't make it to the touchdown, I'm just not doing good. I'm no good at this. And they're not able to wrap their head around the parts that they are good at, right? You know what I mean? Like maybe I can't run the way you want me to run, but I definitely can understand what you're saying, these plays that you're calling. I can understand that. I can memorize that. You know what I mean? And so because of that, that makes me good,
Right.
you know. And these are the pressures that we have to be careful to not apply. Because again, what you say, I'm not paying all that money for you to sit on the bench.
Right. And see, that's another thing too, Eb, with that. I'm very interested in what you just said. I never heard of it. Like very, very
Really?
interested. I never heard of it. That's all I
It's
was like,
all over.
like I never heard of it. But when we were supposed to go in volunteer at this weekend, they have a soccer league that's like that.
Okay.
Right? They're not teaching kids win, they're teaching them, the fundamentals, and that this is a sport that you like, get out there and do whatever you know how to do. In a sense that is so great. Like he said, like Mr. First of all said, is the parent kid, they're doing things together, they're learning the game together. And then too, not I don't think any kid will be out there thinking like they're not good enough, because when we're sending our kids, I don't care, little league. I remember Alan was 4 when he started, and Daryl was 8. I was like you at first. I was like, no, when I with Daryl, oh no, no. But I was like, okay, let me go ahead and try it. So Alan was 4 and Daryl was 8. But the thing about it is, I used to be out there every day, and other parents every day. And there, from Little League, it started with the favoritism thing. So you have these kids at that point, everybody should be on that field playing. Everybody, because they're learning. That's the purpose of the game, right? But I used to see these kids just come, and I'm talking about practice, and then just sit there. Sometimes wouldn't even practice. They just watch the other kids.
Got the cleanest uniforms.
Right. Here it is. I'm bringing my kid out there every day. My kid is, doing his workouts and everything. But you mean to tell me he's not good enough to play?
Yeah. And
Well,
I'm sure that
I
there's
got
a
a comment on that. I got a
yeah, go
comment on
ahead.
that. So just so y'all can see the other perspective of, because I had a lot of a lot of parents used to come to me. Oh, I might send my son to practice. First of all, they send their child to practice and they leave, so they don't even know what's going on in practice. But you one of the parents that stayed and watched. Um, the hardest thing for me to have the parents understand is that the reason, well, this is for me, I can't speak for all coaches. The reason your child is not in is for his safety, because when they're in practice, they're not learning what to do, and you just throw them out there on the field, that can cause an injury because they're just running around not knowing what they're doing. So that's just to put a perspective on the other side. Now, it is some coaches, they just want to win, and they'll totally forget about their child until you're screaming on the back end saying, "Hey, why my son?" Oh, you know what? And that's why in the lower level, you'll see so many coaches, because you have to have that many coaches. You got to have that coach, the get back coach at the little level, because they run around chasing butterfly, playing in their nose, hitting each other, playing with the water on the side. And then you have that coach that's watching the kids that's not able to get in. So like, hey, coach, hey, remember such and such need to play. That's why you have so many coaches for those things.
Yeah.
But how would they learn if they're not given a chance?
I was thinking that.
Yeah, like when they go to school, you know how little kids act up, but you got to get them in line and say, okay, you know, what happens about that? Like, yeah, their attention span is kind of short because this is new for them. At 4 years old, yeah, this is so new. 5 years old, this is new. But how do you get, like you said, you have so many coaches, get some of them coaches. Okay, well, this is what you do. We have a group over here, that teaches them this. You have a group over here that teaches them that. But it's just, to me, I'm telling you, what you talked about, it was a big old scandal. I'm telling you, it was all over the news about people got busted out there betting on them games.
Oh Lord.
Big games. I'm talking about big money. It wasn't
Oh yeah.
no money, And the thing about it is, and I used to see kids getting packed. Alan, you better not. You better not even. No.
Yeah.
But I saw it with my own eyes. And this is the thing. You see these other little kids looking at that, and they're feeling less than. That's not fair.
Yeah.
It's hard,
I mean, I try to have a open mind. I can definitely see. I can understand. And maybe that's because I got a coach as a husband. I can understand, the idea of, hey, these are the ones that are playing, and these are the ones that are sitting on the bench. And I do understand that everyone is not going to touch the court or the field or whatever. I understand that. But I think at that point, that's when you recognize either that this is a moment for you to take your child to something else and allow them to experience, the concept of teamwork and, different techniques, and then bring them back to that particular sport because maybe they're not ready, But I also struggle with, like you said, the fact that that's really not their mindset. That might be Mr. First of All mindset, but in regards to all the other coaches, that's not their mindset. You know what I mean? And so, with a lot of it is that, you just I hate to go this route, but I'm dealing with your mama, so you're gonna get on the field.
That.
You know what I'm saying? Right? Or I'm trying to get with your mama, so you're gonna get on the field, right? Or you my child, so you gonna play.
Yeah.
Or you my homeboy boy child and you're gonna play, right? So here's that becomes this great issue. And then you have the little pieces that trickle in, where they kind of give them a chance because they have a talent at a very young age that you can see already, because I feel like every kid has the ability to be great at something in a sport. It may take a little longer for you to see it in them, or it has to be nurtured, you know what I mean? But as a parent, that's when you come in. So instead of trying to push the idea to play this sport because I played this sport, let me just put you in something to get you used to being in a team, or put you in something so you can learn how to follow directions. Or right, let me just start you out. And I that's why I liked I-9 sports, because that was the idea. It was like, okay, you got these kids, and don't get me wrong, it's kids that are older than 4 and 5 that are playing I-9 sports. I start to fall over to Mr. First of All when you start talking about the older kids. I think I-9 sports is really good for younger, where they're trying to learn. They don't know, right? They don't know how to follow directions or all that good stuff. So, that for me was that space, because it was like, someone says, catch the ball, and you had to listen to catch the ball. Like, you learn how to follow. And so that's what pushed me over to that. But it was a different environment because you didn't hear, get the ball. Why you got the ball? Run, get them. You didn't hear that. And it was all kind of sports: basketball, flag football, softball, soccer, cheerleading, all kind of lacrosse. They got all kind of stuff for I-9 sports. But you didn't hear that. Everybody left out of the game with big old smiles. The parents was happy. Everybody was happy. And I ain't got to see you again until next Saturday. And to imagine that these children end up having a healthier mindset about the sport than those other individuals who are in a less healthy environment when we're talking about sports. And that becomes the difference, because the exposure of how to appreciate the game or how they view the game. And it's not always the coaches, it's the parents. Because my friend child can run the 100 in such and such time. Why you not running? Ain't y'all the same age? What's going on? Well, if you stop getting over here, playing over here, then you don't play with the dirt. If you stop playing with the dirt, you could run like her. It's the comparison, the pressure, all this different stuff. And so we have to be careful, because you're going to feel what you want to feel. And there's nothing wrong with you feeling like, boy, my kid is not good. You just don't say that. Just don't present that to that child. Don't present disappointment. Learn how to see beyond, like we said, the stats, and be able to see them, because when you're able to see that, then you're able to help them see it. So some tools and some coping skills that will be helpful to manage this for athletes is like some emotional, like check-ins before and after practice. You know what I mean? Just kind of something simple like, on a scale of 1 to 10, how stressed are you right now about practice? Or on a scale of 1 to 10, how do you feel about your upcoming game? Just kind of get a mindset. And then, I'm at a 7. Well, you at a 7, that's kind of high. What's up? Why you feel so stressed out about the game? Hopefully you'll find them, because of the relationship, that they'll be able to express, I know you wasn't happy about what I did last game, so I want to make sure I do right. And you can then address, then that's the opportunity for you to affirm, to support, to be there as a parent. So that's something that is very helpful. And of course, those affirmations, I'm more than my game today. Being able to speak to themselves in an affirming way. We definitely have to teach our children how to speak positive to themselves, encourage themselves, and this is helpful either with something that you created, some type of affirmation, or just a scripture. I believe I said something before about Tyler's scripture. He kind of he took it on his own. I could do all things through Christ that strengthens me. And that was something that he, every competition, he would say that, before he did he got on that mat to fight. I could do all things through Christ that strengthened me, to the point where the whole family would be out that's what we was hollering on the sidelines. All things, Tyler, don't forget you could do all things. Just, and that, if you're going to scream and holler something for him to hear or for her to hear, let it be something affirming, something that's going to create this, I can do it mentality, where they can see, even when I'm not doing it, even when this man got his hand around my neck and I'm about to go down, I can do all things. Who knows? Maybe you might get some supernatural strength and come back up. You know what I mean? Or like Earl say, his mom used to do the little bean thing or whatever, and he could hear his mama from the, while he wrestling. You don't realize the strength that your child will feel when they know that you are with them even when they're down. That you not only with me when I'm up. It's needed. It's needed. So that is everything that I have for you guys today. So we can move over to questions and answers.
All right, y'all, it's Q&A while y'all thinking about those questions. Oh, I tried to unmute Mr. First of all. I can't even do it. Sorry. While you guys are waiting for getting your questions and your thoughts together, let me go ahead and show you guys a little something.
Hey guys, it is your mental health champion, Ebony, also known as Miss First of All. Have you gotten your tickets for the Next Play Network and Mixer? If you have not, you need to go ahead and get it. This event is going to be on September 6th at 5 p.m. at the Henry County Parks and Recreation. That address is 307 North Mount Carmel, Hampton, Georgia. And let me tell you something. We have amazing content for you. We have NIL attorneys. We have financial literacy. We have mental health information. We have recruitment information from coaches. We also have our nutritionist on board. I'm talking about everything you could ever think of, everything that you're going to need to be successful on this sports journey will be in the room on September 6th. So if you haven't gotten your ticket, Head over to our website, www.mothersofmotivatedsons.org. Click on the link in the homepage and get your ticket. It's only $50. Make sure you have on your all black and you show your face in the place. Have a good one.
All right.
So,
Said, wait, when I say I was looking at Mr. First of all, I said, honey, that's why I came up there when he saw his wife speaking, y'all. I know that's
And
right.
apparently I like leopard, but okay, go ahead.
Oh my God, that was so awesome. But as she said, get those tickets, guys. It is approaching really quickly, September 6th. So let's go ahead and lean in with the questions. Anyone have any questions or comments?
I have a comment. And this is more or less to the parents that may be watching, the mothers. More or less a suggestion for you guys to help out with that. Um, the, not stressing your kids out so they don't have a bad performance. One thing we used to do, and we did it weekly. We used to do it like once a month with the parents, but we noticed that it worked, so we started doing it weekly. That way to get them accustomed to doing it. Uh, yeah, a lot of these parents do put a lot of pressure on these athletes. So on Wednesdays, we'll call it "What's on Your Mind Wednesday." So while they're practicing, we will have the parents in a meeting, and we'll just talk to them. And one of the things that we used to have is build them up to break them down. So you're used to breaking them down all the time. Why you didn't do this? Why you didn't do this? So we'll tell them at least build them up first, and then you could kind of chime in and throw in, what you want to throw in. So to eliminate some of that stress, we'll just tell them, hey, had a conversation with your kid. He messed up then doing whatever such and such. You ask him, you get the teen parents together and say, hey, listen, ask these questions first before you get into it. And some of the questions was, well, how you felt about practice today? I saw you. I noticed that you was happy at one moment, then you was sad at another moment, and you was upset about another moment. Tell me, talk to me, let me know what's going on. And then from there, that's when you throw them affirmations at them, you build them up, and then now you go to. So I also, I saw you miss a couple of tackles, but that's okay. You still building them up, but you're breaking them down in the sense of you let them know, hey, I saw you mess up. What can you do to make that better? So that's one of the things that we used to do on Wednesday. So if you're a team mom, if you have a voice with your team, you can get together on your own, talk to them because you're the team mom. So everybody have your number. You could have a little group chat and you kind of explain it. So we'll coach up the parents and say, hey, this is what I need you guys to do. And from that, your child will have a better performance. I'm not saying it could be out the roof better, but they will have a better performance.
Mm, I agree with that.
Yeah.
I totally agree with that too. But coach, looking at it from a parent's perspective, you have to also know that some of the parents need coaching. So
Yes,
this
yes.
is why moms is here. And this is
Hmm.
one of the things I say when we take our kids to the camps and or the practices, we're there watching them practice sometimes, but what are the parents leaving with?
Mm-hmm.
It's just everybody should leave with something because sometimes, like I said, sometimes the moms or the dads need coaching. You see what
Hmm.
I'm saying? Because they may don't even know how to do some of the things that you just even spoke about. And to us, that's simple things, right? But to some others, they may didn't get it. So we can't expect others to give us what they didn't get. So, however, when you have programs like we have here at Moms, we're able to get out to the camps and educate the parents and talk to the parents, not even just get out to the camps. They should be getting on these workshops and listen to what we have here because
Correct.
at the end of the day, it's so much that's giving here. And I'm sure probably in other places too, but we're not just telling you about how good your kid is or how much money your kid can make no, we want you to know all aspects of the game because there's a lot that comes with this from the little league up to pro level. And if you spoke about the kids knowing the voice, I remember when Alan played for the Cowboys, I promise y'all, I wasn't real high up, but that boy turned right around when he was being interviewed, and he pointed directly to me. He heard me from way where I was at,
Yeah.
and the lady was like, "How did you know she was sitting there?" He was like, "I know my mom's voice."
Yes.
And see, that's the thing. It's very, very important, and we think sometimes our kids are not listening. They listen to
I hear you.
everything,
Yes. Yes.
everything.
Yeah.
So, yeah, man, it's very, very important to get inside these workshops
Mhm.
or programs that can help you navigate your way through this thing, because it's not an easy task, and we have to work with the coaches and not against the coaches. And that's another thing we need to be trained on as well, because you talked about, if you say something to that coach could bitch your kid. That's not just in Little League, honey. You can't talk to them in college. Them collegiate coaches don't want you talking to them. They feel
Yep.
like they talking to your son, and
Yeah.
that's it. You
Right.
talk if you want to, and I know from experience, not by me, but my son father said something and caused some, a little havoc,
Mhm.
but at the end of the day, we got to work together, because as we are leading these kids, it's going to take the parents, it's going to take the coaches, because that's who we're allowing to be, there for our children when, even if we're sitting in the background at the time, they play a vital part in a kid's life as well.
Yeah, and I love that you said that, Erica, because we need support as
Yeah.
parents. You have to find that support, whether that's
Yeah.
moms, whether that's a therapist, because the things that we're pressuring our children about
Yeah.
are things that they should not even have to be concerned about. You shouldn't be concerned about the fact that I feel what I'm purchasing you is too expensive. You know, and so if I have to address my frustration with the cost of something, I need to go take that to my support system. I need to go and, go talk to my mom about it, or go see my therapist, or, oh, Emery, go talk to the moms group about it. You know what I'm saying? And get my support, and get people who are going to say, oh, well, we can, put some money together, or did you try this? Did you try this fundraising? Did you look at this? Maybe you can sell some dinners, or, you know what I mean? Because parents do what we do because our backs are against the wall.
Yeah.
But you don't have to feel like your back is against the wall, because the reality is that you're not alone.
Right.
And whether a lot of this is all people experience it, but it's a single parent experience, because those are stressors that you encounter as a single parent, trying to ensure that that child gets what they need without being frustrated. When you have an extra parent, it's like you can kind of transfer onto them instead of the kids. You're like, God, I gotta pay all this money, and then they're there to kind of balance that out for you, just the same as dealing with the coaches. You know what I'm saying? Like you said, Erica, you were out there on a day to day doing what you had to do, right? And typically, you have a 2-parent home, that daddy out there, you ain't got to worry about that pressure. I don't have to worry about my child getting on the field, because I know that they daddy ain't gonna let something slide. He gonna catch it and he gonna say something about it, right? So these are different. This is the difference when we talk about the parents, and so that pressure looks different, that guilt looks different, and that's why we need the outlet. That's why we need the support, the groups, like I said, the therapy, so that you can talk about stuff like Coach is saying, and then that again does not become the child's problem.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
We have to reassure these kids too.
Mhm.
Even I mean, I was teen mom I'm talking about all the way up to pro. Everybody, no, Mama hers, no, hers mom. Let's turn it around. Not Mama hers. But anywho, the thing about that is sometimes when that kid don't have, like you say, drop offs, that was happening a lot too. When you have the drop offs, get into that kid's ears and affirm him as well, reassure him as well, her as well, because at the end of the day, we really don't know what they're hearing at home, and that one word from you could change the trajectory of that child's life. I'm not talking about their day. I'm talking about their life, that they can see, man, somebody really do care. You know, we talked about coaches caring, right? And the thing about it too, like if a parent, we talked about the kid who wanted the time from the mom, but the mom thought because she was giving the kid everything that was enough. So even in a sense like that, you know, this kid is getting everything, and he just, all he wanted was time.
Yeah.
But what happens to that kid that's coming out there playing sports because he want to be around people, because it's a team sport, right? He wants to be around people that care. So if we did what you said, Eb, as far as like taking him out of that sport and putting him in something else, we really could damage him that way too. So it really two way we could look at that too. Because if that kid if that's all the love that they're getting by being around teammates, or they're from their coaches or from the team mom, come on.
But you know what? And I'm glad you mentioned that, because I'm gonna talk about in one of my workshops, the benefits of being a multi-sport athlete. Even though, yeah, like what you're saying, you may take them away from that, may be the only little love that they're getting. But you're also eliminating that opportunity. They may go to another sport and they may receive that same love, if not better, because you have different coaching styles. You learn different things. You have different opportunities to learn from those different coaching styles. So you have football coaches are a little bit more aggressive. Baseball coaches are aggressive, but it's more learning, because I was a baseball coach as well. It's not a lot of yelling and fussing in baseball. Same thing in swimming. When I was coaching swimming, it's a lot less screaming. I mean, you just scream because you're outside and you know the water splash and they can't hear. It's different. Basketball coaches are a lot more aggressive. So you are kind of missing out on not allowing your child to do another sport. So don't stress them out because you play football. They have to play football. Yeah, you can put them out there, let them try, see if they like it. If you notice and they not paying attention, like she said, it may not be time for them just yet. So you might want to pull them and try and do something. Just throw them in a whole bunch of stuff, and you'll find out what they really enjoy.
It's important to know your child. I think we talked about that before. Like, you know, you got to have a relationship with your kids before you try to put them in sports that is not extracurricular. I think that's the thing we gotta put a line between. You have people who put their kids in sports because it's something for them to do, keep them active. You know what I mean? While whatever, I don't want my child to be sitting watching TV and playing games all day. So you put them in a sport. And then you have people who put kids in a sport because my child is skilled and they have a talent and I want to hone in on it and focus on it and make it grow. And that's the difference. But you got to know your child, you know, because when you know them, then you know what sport to put them in.
And you know what, too? I might get kicked out for saying this.
Lord.
Nah, you ain't.
I might get kicked out from saying this, but it's where you take your children at.
No, listen.
That's a big part.
Because I done been on
That's a
some
big part.
teams too. Well, I didn't hear all the screaming and yelling.
Hello.
Right.
Hello.
So
That's a big part.
where you take your children at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So
yeah. But you know that develops a different. I noticed that too. That it develops a different kind of player.
Yep.
And that could be negative or positive.
Yep.
But it develops a different kind of player because they're getting a different kind of experience. But I agree. So you ain't getting kicked out because I'm with you. I told, he was laughing at me because I told him, I said, hey, when I did think about putting him in football, I was gonna put him over there PPO somewhere, you know, out west somewhere instead of in Miami Gardens, because I felt like it would be a different nurturing experience.
Right.
You know,
when you see your kids to school, like when you send your kids to school, you want to try to get them the best education that there is. But you know, I'll tell you something, and it kind of be it's a catch-22.
Yes.
I'm telling you, when they get up there in high school and the collegiate level, they definitely want to hear some stuff.
Yes,
you know but as a child, I just don't think that should be out this level. Yeah. But when they get up there to high school, at that collegiate level.
Yes.
Girl,
Right.
when I say I wanted to hop that fence plenty of
There's
days,
a difference.
but hey, I had to,
Yeah.
pump my brakes
Yeah.
because at the end of the day, I knew one thing about Alan. Alan could be listening to you, and you think he listening, but it's going right out his head. he ain't nothing to
That's a
get in his
skill.
spirit. I
That's
Right.
a
said he has an old soul, like a
yeah.
real old soul. So someone, hey sis, she said sometimes a parent put their child in a sport for their own satisfaction, fulfilling the dreams that they may not have now.
Yes.
Absolutely, we talk about that all the time.
Right.
Mhm.
All
Yeah.
the time, and that's where sometimes with a kid um gets burnt out because
Yeah.
Yeah.
dad is pushing it.
Mhm.
You heard what Ryan said. One of his kids, I mean, one of the person that he knew, kid missed something, and he had the kid running around doing laps after the game was over,
Mhm.
and the people couldn't leave. They had to sit there and wait. That's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. And that goes back to like what she said, knowing your child. So my brother played football. He played baseball. He boxed. So inevitable, he was pushing his son, not really pushing him, just trying him out in football. My
Yeah,
nephew not the best football player. We put him in track. The dude made the Junior Olympics his second year of running track. That's
mhm,
that's his lane.
yeah,
He's on the spectrum. So certain sports goes for him. He don't like contact, but the boy can run. So that goes back to knowing your child. You know your child is real timid. Do not put them in a aggressive sport thinking that's gonna change them.
Mhm.
It's not. It's gonna make things worse. I'm
Yeah.
telling you that now. Try him out in baseball because
Mhm.
he got great hand-eye coordination. I put him out there with a soccer ball in the backyard. I never seen this guy watch a soccer game. I don't know. Maybe they did it in school, but his footwork, him controlling, because he's focusing on that ball and he
yeah.
can kick that ball in different angles. And I was like, hey man, we gonna have to put him in soccer, man. Try him out in soccer. So yeah, it goes back to knowing your child.
And
How
Erica makes this that she says this all the time. She says, you gotta listen to your kids. But I'm gonna shake it up a little bit.
come on.
Listening is not just words. We communicate in our body language.
Yep.
Because we are expressive in that sense, and we communicate through silence. And you gotta watch your kids, not just listen. You gotta watch your children because your children tell you so much through their day-to-day actions. And that's
Mm-hmm.
just not a little kid, that's older kids. But we typically start our children off young in sports.
Yeah.
Watch your kids.
But you
If
know what
your
else?
child, yeah,
They'll end up saying that child is bad when that child is crying out for attention.
exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah. But you will you will stop wasting everybody's time if you just watched your children. Like he said about his nephew. You know what I'm saying? Hey, I'm not trying to waste my time at 5 o'clock. I gotta sit out here at 5 o'clock till 8 o'clock for practice. I'm not trying to waste your coach time that's got to tell you to sit down and stop running. I'm not trying to you don't you ain't got that one. Let's go over here and try this over here. Let's put more attention to this over here. You just won't be the next legacy. It's all right.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Create your own legacy.
Yep. 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 And then they won't be comparing themselves. And I love the fact you too. I look at Alan. He has his kids. Well, Chase, the oldest one, he's in soccer and
Yes. Yes.
basketball. That look
Yes.
when I say he raw with it. Okay.
Mhm.
And now I said, well, would you let him play football? I even watched him. Him and Alan was throwing the ball in the house. And I'm looking like, okay, he's going to be an all around athlete.
Mhm.
But Alan said,
Athlete.
whatever he chooses to
Yes.
do, even a
Right.
3-year-old, he's in soccer too, and he loves it,
Mhm.
But it's just that a lot, if you, I think you should really spread their wings. Like when Alan and Inky was playing, Daryl was playing, I put them in, they was in track and they were in football. And the reason I put them in track though, because both of them was asthmatic, and the pulmonologist said, put them in track and build up their lungs.
Mhm.
Unfortunately, I mean, they still Daryl has it more because he was a premature baby, but he grew out of it. Every now and then it probably will flare up. But them boys was good. They were
Mm-hmm.
good. And it's just that they had, and I watched Alan play. Alan's so raw with basketball, y'all. I was like, Lord have mercy, why you didn't go that route? But hey, it is what it is.
I'm gonna
But
have to get him on the court.
oh, he nice. He nice. He nice with them 3-pointers too. Ooh. I remember I was there visiting them. My grandson, y'all, I don't know how I held the ball, how I shot the ball, or whatever. He said, no, Bella, He said it's like this, and I was like,
uh,
excuse me.
Mhm.
And
hmm
I with him a little basketball hoop, and I mean, he good.
Yeah.
He's good,
Yeah.
and that's the thing. We have to allow our kids to experience different
Yeah.
things. And I love the fact he didn't name. He purposely say he didn't name his son after him because he didn't want him to have to.
Have
God,
his own identity.
there you go. He
Yeah.
wanted him to have his own identity. He didn't want him to have to live up to what his
And no
dad.
standards. Yep.
Mm,
And that's important. That
very.
and this is what we're talking about. Pressure can come in so many different ways, and realizing that it's not just spoken, it's unspoken. And so we do things like, name your child after you, or make them go to the school you went to, or make them play for the teams you played for. And there's this pressure that I have to show up like this. I got and that's too much. Like you said, your grandkids can confidently play their sport.
Mhm.
And that's what playing a sport, you should have a confidence
Right.
in what you're doing, because you trust yourself in that sport. I'm not confident doing stuff that I'm not comfortable doing.
Right.
I'm gonna always question that. I'm gonna always question if I'm meeting the mark or if I'm doing good. But if I'm doing something that I chose, that I developed, that I pushed for, then hey, and that's not just sports. I'm a singer. So I got a daughter and a son. My son, he want to do sports, go ahead and do sports. But my daughter, hey, we gonna sing. We singing? What we gonna do? You gonna join the chorus? And my daughter wanted to do drama. I ain't got an acting bone in my body, you know. And I know when I took her through vocal lessons, it was pushing like you gotta sing it like this, and I could see in her face her losing the love for that particular part because I'm going to apply extra pressure because this is what I do. So it's like, no, that's not it. That's not the harmony. I'm not hearing it. Go back, do it again. Come back, do it again. She crying. That's all right. Wipe your face. Come on, keep doing it. So it ain't just an athlete thing, you know. Pressure is pressure, and you gotta know when you are pushing your children
Too much.
too much
Yep.
because you can definitely break them.
Yep.
And the quote that I was looking at and focusing on today was that your child's strongest win is knowing home is their safe space, no matter the scoreboard.
Yes, God.
That's their strongest win.
Jesus. You about to make me get up out my seat. Oh, Jesus, that's good. Oh,
And that's something to take away.
hey, God.
I've done everything right if I know that their home is safe, and not just home, but that they are safe with me.
Yes, God.
As a parent, our goal is to ensure that our children feel safe with us. It shouldn't be a statement that I don't know, I don't feel like I could tell my mama that, or I don't want to say that to her. And it's not even about the negative. Like, I don't want to say it to her because I don't want her to yell at me, but I don't want to say that to her because I don't want her to be disappointed. I don't want to tell her that because I don't want her to be sad, or she really liked that and I don't want to upset her or make her cry. It could be, just on the matter, I just don't want you to, I don't want to disappoint you.
Oh, A.B. said that, and I don't know if you guys knew that Alan wrote a documentary when he was at the University of Miami. And his biggest fear was letting me down. And when the people followed, when they called me about it, I was in school at the same time too, and they followed me to school, did the whole interview, or whatever. And when I heard what they said, and I was like, wait, what? let me down. This is the thing. Once he heard my piece of it, it was like a whole burden was lifted off of him.
Mm-hmm.
But I had to reevaluate and say, what was I doing for him to feel like, okay, his biggest fear is to let me down. So I didn't focus like, okay, well, what? No, what did I do? See, we always like to do this when we hear things. You have to go and you have to reevaluate something to see what you did to cause the action. You understand? Or the reaction. You see, and I'm telling you, I fumbled with that thing for a good little minute. I'm like, wait, what? His
Yeah.
biggest fear was to let me down. And I remember him telling me, like, Mom, you really have to let us fail. But as a parent, you never want to see your kid fail. And Eb, you was there at the school where the principal even called y'all. They put him in a drama class. That was a drama debate. That's what it was. A
Mm-hmm.
debate class. That boy, Mom, they put me in a debate class. You know, I don't even like to argue.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, don't you say less, son. I got it. And put the principal on the phone. The principal say, Miss Wilson, I don't even know why they put him in there because this boy is not going to be arguing with anybody.
Mm-hmm.
And at the end of the day, they took him out. But the thing about it, he spoke up for himself. Although he did call me, he let them know too. And they were not listening, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the principal had to get involved, but it worked. This is why we have to listen
Yeah.
to hear and not listen to respond to our kids. And like you say, watch the body language, watch their actions. Stop saying, oh, they just bad, they just looking for attention.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they are. They're looking for attention. They're looking, not even knowing how to approach you about a situation that they'll like to talk to you about because you so rah-rah when they do tell you some things. So they're gonna go to the outside and find them a safe place, and a safe place should be at home.
Yeah. Yeah.
At the end of the day,
Yeah.
period.
Yeah.
So we got to do better as parents, grandparents,
Mm-hmm.
who's ever raising that child,
Yeah.
because at the end of the day, they need us. They need us.
Yeah. I
A
agree.
village.
I totally agree. One thing I want to leave with everyone is to remember that in order for you to take care of your children or your responsibility, whatever you want to call them, you got to take care of yourself first. As a parent, especially a single parent, you tend to let that part go. There's a lot less taking care of yourself than there is taking care of your responsibility, right? Because I didn't need that child didn't ask to be here, and all these other statements we make to make ourselves feel like we should not prioritize ourselves. But self-care is extremely important, and it goes beyond getting your hair and your nails done or getting a massage, or it goes beyond that. Those are good, don't get me wrong. I love it. I love to be pampered, but it goes beyond that. It is a lot to do with your mental health. It's a lot to do with your healing. It's a lot to do with giving yourself permission to release things and to forgive. And then you can show up in parenthood on a whole nother level
Mm.
when you have cared for yourself. When I talk about self-care to my clients, I always use the example of being on an airplane. When you get on the airplane and y'all get in y'all seats, everybody comfortable. You got the flight attendant gets on the thing and they give you the instructions on how to take care of, put your mask on. And they tell you that this mask is going to come down if we lose cabin pressure. This is going to fall. And when it falls, put the mask on yourself first, and then put the mask on everyone else. That is the story of life. Why? Because if I choose to put the mask on everybody else next to me first, by the time I get back to my mask, I'm dead. I am going to be on the floor because I am going to lose all oxygen. And so, what good was it for them to tell the story of how they got saved? They want me here. They don't want the memory that I saved their life. They want me to be there with them. So put the mask on yourself first. So then you can take in enough oxygen to care for everyone else. And with that being said, care for you first. Prioritize you so that you can then care for those individuals that you care for. So I challenge you guys today to reflect on one pressure that you will release from yourself and one that you will release from your athlete. Reflect on that and do different, do better, check yourself. That's it for me.
Mm. Oh, y'all better get your pens and paper ready because the mental health champion brought out her playbook on tonight, y'all. Oh my God, this was so good. If this has blessed you, and Stephanie, if you're still here, I saw on Facebook that you were saying that you were going to be in that next play. Go ahead and grab your ticket now, sis. And tell another mother to tell another mother to tell all the mothers to get on side, get inside that next play. You definitely want to be in the next play networking mixer. September 6th, guys. Listen, y'all just got a tad bit taste of it here in these workshops, but it's gonna be live and in color. So put on all your black and come on out and join us at the next play, y'all. Mr. First of all, do you have anything to say?
Yeah, I always have something to say, whether it makes sense or not. I would just say to the parents, man, just like I said before, uh, build them up to break them down, but break them down positively. Ask them when they mess up, what could you have done? Let them be the answer. What could you have done to have made a better play or to shot a better shot, play defense a little bit more better, or whatever it had been. Let them let you, and then from there, then you can start to say, well, you can try this, try this. So build them up and break them down positively.
You heard it here. Inside the huddle, y'all. Mom's locker room of legacy. Listen, we love y'all so much here at Moms. We just want to be able to help you navigate your child's journey through this thing of sports. Because what we all know that one day it will all be over. Sports will end. And we want to know want your kids to know who they are when sports is maybe sometimes done with them and they're not done with sports. Because at the end of the day, that is a hard pill to swallow when sports is done with you and you're not done with sports. And truth be told, I'm speaking from a parent's point of view, it affects the parents as well when that sport is over. Why? Because one thing I noticed, and I can speak for me and I can't speak for anybody else. One thing about it is you notice when all the love was there when the child was playing, when the athlete was playing, and soon when it's over, where's the love? At the end of the day. So it affects the parents as well. So if a parent is telling you that it do not, all I can say is just check them at the end of the day, because it hurts to know that, yeah, my son received all this love when he was playing, and it's like pulling teeth to get support now, and any other thing that they may be doing. However, this is why it's very, very important, parents. You may not know who you are, but make sure your kids know who they are. Because I'm telling you one thing, and y'all know Alan, he's very unbothered. At the end of the day, he's living his best dad life. So at the end of the day, make sure your kids know who they are. Please, 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 please. Because when your number is called, when that jersey come off, look, I'm going a whole nother way with it. When that jersey come off, or those cleats come off, or that skirt that uniform come off, the child needs to know who they really are. At the end of the day, be the best them at the end of the day. And education first, y'all. Education first. Make sure these babies getting their education because they're gonna know how to they're gonna need to know how to read those plays, right? They're gonna know what is the SATs and they still doing that now?
Yep,
Mhm.
ACT.
Yeah, listen, come on, y'all. Let's help our children. Help our child. I don't care if the baby is not yours. If you see a child on a team that, maybe that kid is always getting dropped off and picked up late, I saw that too. But, maybe that child is waiting for the parent to get there. The mother could be working, father could be working, whatever it may be. That child is still left there. Just speak some words of affirmation and assurance into them as well. Love on our babies, y'all. At
Yeah.
the end of the day, they don't have to be yours for you to love on them. Because at the end of the day, it may be you that needs somebody to love on yours. So without further ado, y'all, Stephanie, get that ticket. Go over to www.mothersunmotivatedsons.org to get your tickets, guys. Tonight's the night. All right, y'all, we're out of here. We love you all. Give y'all some virtual hug and some virtual love. Oh, I thought it wasn't gonna come up. All right, y'all. I'm going downstairs to eat me some turkey wings, collard greens, and picture peas and rice.
Ooh, I'm telling Naomi.
I your friend, Mr. First of all. Good night, y'all.
She
All
on
right,
there.
good
She
night.
read it already. Okay.
Bye-bye.
It's good. It's good. It's good. It's good. You're good.